All right. Oh my god. I've been addicted to this LaCroix um, sparkling water. It is so fucking good, but it gives me like the worst burping ever in existence.
Worth the hassle.
It totally is. It totally is. All right, you guys ready?
Hmm.
Yep.
Sweet. All right, here we go. Welcome to episode 41 of the Secret Cow Level podcast. Once again, my name is Mo. With me, I have Corey
Yo,
and I got Derek.
Howdy, folks.
How have you guys been doing since we last met?
Pretty
doing
good.
fine.
Cool.
How are you?
I went to the Magic the Gathering Amonkhet pre-release last
Yep.
weekend, I believe, and I know
Hmm.
you
So you
did
did
too,
that too, didn't
Corey.
you? Right?
Yeah.
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 I actually didn't suck for once. I was very proud of myself. I went 1-1-2, which is like the most average of average score lines ever. um, but I think I mentioned this earlier in other episodes. I drafted Modern Masters 3 when that first came out some time ago, and that was a lot of fun. I feel with Amonkhet, uh, the cards are really good for drafting. I drafted a black green deck. One of the main themes in this set is -1/-1 counters. There are a lot of creatures
Uh,
that come into play. It'll be like a 5/5 for 3 or something. But it'll say when this creature comes into play, put three -1/-1 counters on a target creature you control. So you can either put it on that creature, it becomes like a 3/3 or a 2/2, or you can put it on another creature if you want to. Um, and black and green have they're full of that. And there's this card called like I think Dune Beetle. It's a 1/4. That card was so good with just putting -1/-1 tokens on it. It was like, oh well, you're like a 0/1, but that's perfectly fine because now I've got like a 4/3 and a 3/3 for like stupid cheap now. Um,
Hmm.
so that was a lot of fun. Um, there's this card called Trespasser's Curse, I believe, and that card single-handedly won me games I had no business winning, and it lost me games I had no business losing. So it's an enchant player. Whenever that player summons a creature, they lose one life and you gain a life. And
Hmm.
so if you're ahead and you cast it, you've pretty much won the game at that point. If you're slightly behind, you can cast it and you can stabilize from it and then eventually pull ahead. But if you're like super far behind, it's not gonna do anything for you because you're dead by the next turn or two. Yeah, but that card single-handedly won me so many games or put me in like a draw position, like just out of nowhere. And then there's another card. It's like 7 mana, black, black, 5. Another enchant player. During that player's upkeep, they sacrifice a creature. If they can't, they lose 5 life.
Jesus.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's
That
it's
would.
it's ridiculous, especially in limited format.
Let's say in limited, you might have like 2 or 3 enchantment removal in your deck. If at most,
Yeah,
like if you're playing like a red black deck, then you probably don't have any.
yeah. I think I sideboarded. Well, I had like one enchantment removal or enchantment artifact removal. It was in green. Because there was
Yeah.
another artifact. I think black creatures you summon cost one less, and every time you summon a black creature, you gain a life. They lose a life. So someone had that and Trespasser's Curse. I was like, this is kind of dumb
Yeah.
right now. This is pretty stupid. So I had to sideboard some hella enchantment hate.
I know plenty of draft games go to time, or sealed
Yeah.
games go to time,
Yeah.
but there was a mirror match between two people running those enchantments against each other, and they were just like lose life, gain life, lose life, gain life, lose life, gain life, lose life, gain life. Yeah, they're just furiously.
Uh,
I did see one interesting deck. It did not work whatsoever, but the idea was to have the -1/-1 counters and the emboldened creatures, and then have your creature come into play, put all of the
oh
-1s on
yeah.
that creature, have it die, and then you could bring it back for its embalm cost. Just ended up being not as good because if you went straight embalmed, then you'd be spending more money or spending more mana on the embalmed creatures. And if you went straight -1/-1, then you'd be able to manipulate it more.
Right.
But I thought it was a cool idea to be like, no, you take all the -1/-1s and die, and then come back. It'd be great.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
it didn't work out well. But I like the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm also using the broken pieces that I've taken from the set. I want to make a 5-color cartouche deck that just has like an enchantment deck with some badass beefy creatures to throw enchantments on or something like that. Because the way it works is anytime a trial comes into play or is in play and a cartouche comes out, the trial goes back to your hand. So you just run a bunch of trials and a bunch of cartouches. You play out the trials, put a cartouche on, get your trials back, replay them. And the trials are pretty cheap, and they do some pretty nice stuff. Like the black one is 1 and a black, kill target creature. The blue one is like 2 and a blue, draw 2 cards, I think. It might be draw 3, but then it might be 3 and a blue then, so I don't remember. Regardless, they've got some pretty nice abilities, and being able to spam them seems pretty nice, so I think that'll make a pretty fun deck.
Yeah.
The only problem is 5 colors, and I have problems with consistency.
Nope.
But it will be fun. Say, did anyone get an invocation or
I
Hold
think
on.
somebody may have.
Hold on.
We did a solo tournament, a 2-headed giant sealed tournament, and then we stuck around for everyone unpacking their sealed deck for the second one. And out of all 3 tournaments, only 1 person pulled out an invocation.
Jeez.
And it was a Force of Will. So it was a pretty expensive one.
Yeah.
Oh, which is
good.
It's a foil mind twist.
Yeah, because you can't read the words. So.
Yeah, exactly.
The foil wingdings.
Yeah, foil wingdings.
But yeah, 3 tournaments, only 1 person pulled an invocation
Well,
out of.
You have a 1 in 144 chance, I think, of pulling one. Or 1 in 144 packs of pulling one.
Not like the little sealed boxes.
No,
Those boxes are pretty cool.
oh
by the
yeah,
way.
those are really cool. But yeah,
The sealed deck comes with like a little box with 6 packs in it, and it's set like a pharaoh's
sarcophagus. There we go. Yeah.
And when you open it up, like the deck stands up, and you can pull it out that way.
Yeah,
and it comes with a little D20 with their Amonkhet symbol on it.
It's super
So it's
cool.
pretty nice. I like the swag.
Yeah.
And did you turn in the quest things to get the D4 dice?
No, I didn't know that was a thing.
What?
Well,
It came with
well,
little
no.
sarcophagus has a little checkoff list.
Yeah, well, so when I
And-
did it, we did it at midnight. And so by that point, like, everyone had been up since, like, some stupid amount in the morning. So everyone, like, filed in and started playing. Everyone's like, what is this? I don't know. Fuck it. Whatever. We'll deal with it later. let's just play. This is going to take forever.
Well, they packaged in a little checkoff list for a lot of the pre-release events, and if you go to each one of those, or if you match it, then they'll give you a D4 with the Amonkhet symbol for the 4.
Oh, that's
So-
cool.
That's cool.
One of the checkoff things was participating in a sealed event, and one was for bringing a friend. So I got 2 that way. So I got 2 little. Oh, I can go grab it here in a little bit, but we'll get back to that.
Okay.
It was pretty fun. I mean, for the first time not being at a Magic tournament in about 10 years, it was okay. It was a fine experience. But it did give me a reality check about why I stopped playing Magic with prizes on the line, because I just don't enjoy it at all
Yeah.
whatsoever. Like, got to build a deck, you have to do it under a certain amount of time, and you've got limited cards, and it's a random, literally, about if you're going to have good cards or bad cards. You don't really get to pick what kind of deck you want, because you pretty much need to go, well, these ones are the nicest cards I've got, so I pretty much got to build around that, or I'm just going to lose.
Yeah.
So that kind of sucks. And then when you play, you have to do the regular Magic thing of go, well, I need to make sure I shuffle right, because if I don't, I'll get land fucked, or, I might even shuffle right and get land fucked or something like that. Or, oh, hey, look, I've got you in a shit position and there's nothing you can do. Aha! And then they top deck something fucking amazing. And you're like, oh, heart of the cards. Aren't you just great?
Yeah.
But that's Magic, so
Yeah,
you pretty much have to go into it knowing that.
I did a second pre-release because a friend of mine wanted to do one in Minneapolis, and the first time I did it, that Friday, was really, really cool. I drew decent cards. The second time I went, all my cards were fucking like CMC 4 or higher. Like, it was fucking ridiculous. And I was like, well, I guess I'm not doing anything for the first 3 turns, I guess. And so, like, I had some really good cards, but I had to fucking wait till turn 4. And then by the point, it was like, hit you for 1, hit you for 3, hit you for 7. And I was like, oh, that's cute. So I totally get where that is. Uh, just sometimes you just get super unlucky, or like some guy when I went for the pre-release on Friday had like a billion fucking rares and uncommon, so of course he like went 5-0 because who can compete with, Trespasser's Curse times 4 and the other card where you lose 5 life times 4 and like 2 god cards, and it was fucking dumb. So yeah.
I will say that the two-headed giant kind of evens it out because you both get a sealed pack and you can share the cards, so you don't end up kind of like pigeonholed into one particular thing. And since there's 2 of you, if one of you's having just sort of bad luck, the other one can kind of carry a bit until you stabilize. So I think for sealed, I might just only do two-headed giant ones from now on because that was the most fun I had the whole pre-release.
Yeah, I think it's a better sealed format. And I was going to say, sealed is fun. I've had some fun doing it, but I greatly prefer draft over sealed.
After my
stuck with what you got. So.
Yeah. After my second time, because I ended up dropping, so I was like, this is really kind of bad. And I was like, well, I at least paid for these cards, so I'm not losing anything from that. But my friend who I went up with, he had all like the 1 and 2 mana cards, and I was like, well, fuck, if we were playing draft, I could have gotten those, and vice versa, and we could have had like at least both a decent deck. So now I'm like, maybe I'll try drafting, because at first I was like, no, but after that experience, I was like, maybe I should do that after all.
Yeah. The thing I like about drafting a lot is half of it is the drafting portion. Like, it's extremely important. So you gotta, it challenges you as a deck builder. You have to sit there and basically like on the fly build a deck. It's like
the
deck building equivalent of like it's like the deck building equivalent of like skeet shooting. You're like, oh, that one, and oh shit, need this one. But I don't know. I got the hang of it. Maybe it was partially like the way the meta was back then, like how the sets were. But I don't know. Leaned on bread and made it work.
Yeah.
Bread, if you don't know, is an acronym for drafting. Are you two familiar with that?
Nope.
No.
I can repeat it for the viewers. Okay, neither of you. Bread is your priorities for drafting. It's an acronym. B is bombs. You always grab bombs. It's in priority from first to highest priority to least priority.
Right.
B is bombs. Bombs are anything where playing this could turn a losing game into a winning game. But with one single card. Even if you're not going to play it, you need to take it because that means that someone else might win the game because you let them have that card. So you have to take bombs. You have to always take bombs. They're a threat to remove even if you're not going to use them yourself, but you should look for a way to use them. After that are basically just the normal, and bombs vary. It's just, you have to just kind of know what could do it. Like Wrath of God is a bomb, but Fireball is also a bomb.
Right.
But a 5/5 flyer is also a bomb. Like, they come in all forms. You just have to know like what it is. And that takes a little trying. The other ones are more self-explanatory though. R is removal. You always draft all removal you can get because draft is creature based. You're not going to get a drafted combo deck or a drafted like solid control deck with like 2 kill-con creatures. It's going to be dudes on the ground stomping your teeth in. So you need removal. Right behind removal is evasion. That's E.
Flying.
Flyers.
Yeah.
Just grab flyers. Flyers are extremely underestimated in draft a lot. Like, oh, it's a 4-cost 1/1 flyer. Who would want that? I'll take 7.
Yeah.
I have before drafted 7 5-cost. There were actually 2/1 flyers. Back in shit, what was the Kith the it was the
Lorwyn?
last Lorwyn, yeah, the tribal set. I drafted the shit out of Lorwyn, especially first two blocks or first two sets in the block. Where I played. I tried not to after a while because I did so much drafting it, but almost every time I would do blue-black fairies because I'd be like, for me, first of all, blue-black fairies were fucking amazing powerhouses in draft.
Fucking Bitter Blossom, stupid goddamn bullshit.
Yeah. Well, even like Bitter Blossom was a good card outside of draft. Like there are a lot of absolutely unplayably bad cards that no one would ever put in a real constructed deck that were game winners in draft. And I use the cards in that set from Blue Black Fairies as examples of how you got to think differently with draft. Like there was a card in there, a black card. It was like 5 colorless and 1 black, destroy a creature and get a 1/1 flying black fairy token. It's a 6 cost creature removal. And I would draft 8 of those if I could get them. I did once draft 4, I think. There was the 5 cost 2/1 flyer. God, they were amazing. It was like 2 blue and 3 colorless for a 2/1 blue flyer, flying fairy, and you could pay like 4 and return it to your hand. Shit is amazing. It is it's E and R. It's E and R. Because back then, before they changed the stupid rules, you could stack damage.
Yeah.
I hate they got rid of stacking damage. That's just dumb. It's just dumb. Their only explanation was that it was too confusing. I'm like, too confusing for who?
Well, I mean,
like how many 9-year-olds are playing Magic the Gathering?
Well, to be honest, like
and aren't already confused.
Right. Yeah. But like that changed because there were a lot of rules lawyering back in the with that going around, like damage on the stack and doing all this other like silly.
It wasn't weird though. It was really it wasn't weird or silly. It was really straightforward. Some cards were designed to work that way. Fucking Mog Goblin doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
1 red for a 1/1 goblin, sacrifice it and deal 1 damage to a creature or player.
Right.
Used to be played in top tier extended decks. Now it is a completely worthless shit common. It's like, well, I can block and deal 1 damage, or I can sacrifice it, not deal damage, and deal 1 damage. No. Like, it used to be a 1/1 that could kill a 2 toughness creature. You drop it turn 1, they can't swing with their turn 2/2 swing if they had Savannah Lion, or not Savannah Lions, the Konda Hound of whatever from Kamigawa. But it's dumb.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And if you built like a whole deck around combat damage and bouncing your units, and then they took away damage on the stack, then your entire deck that you built's gone. Yay!
I think it made the game less interesting and very slightly less complicated. Like there were much more interesting, cool, and fairly easy to understand things. Like I don't know, that was just a weird decision.
They still operate the entire game off the stack, and it's not like you don't have to. Yeah, it's like damage on the stack is just like any other thing on the stack. You put this here. Does it resolve? No, I'm going to do something in response. And then that happens.
The entire game except damage works on the stack, and it doesn't make any sense. I don't know.
Whatever.
It just like blindsided me. I was like, why? I have no idea why you did that. Especially now. Like the game's been out for like 3,500 years.
3,500 years. I have to look at that because I'm interested to see. Because honestly, I was like in the minority. I was like, this is fine. Like I'm totally okay with this change. But I do.
It happened at 10th edition. If you want to look at the rulings, maybe they like announced something then. But
they had some talks about it. I don't know. It was right after I got completely out of Magic, so I heard about people talking about it on Facebook, and I was like, my response was just, why? That's weird. And now Mog Goblin sucks. Whatever. Right. Let me finish my acronym before I ramble more. Bombs removal, evasion. A is application. Like it's good when it's good, but it's not good in any other case. So if obviously you look for cards that are always good, not cards that are good in this particular situation. Hi, Eric. And then D is defense. it's last. Not
Not
like
that
it
good.
is fifth
Not
most
that good.
important. It is last important. Drafting defense is not important.
It's a stall.
Yes, it makes
And
you lose
stalling
more
doesn't win.
slowly. Don't draft defense.
No.
Unless
Well,
like you
life
have
game.
some particularly good application card to make a defense card good. Otherwise,
Other one, then
whatever.
you have to draw both of them. You probably have one copy of each. I
Yeah.
don't know, like high
Yeah.
defense blockers that aren't a threat, life cards that just gain you life. Those just make you lose more slowly.
There
They can
is
be good when they're potent, but
there is a life gain card. It's like I think it's like 2 mana, gain 6, but you can cycle it for 1, I think. And when you cycle it, you gain 2.
well, that's not bad because it's 1 mana to gain 2 life and
draw.
And to draw a card, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's cantrip because it is replacing itself. You get no card advantage. That's something important. You lose 1 card to replace it,
Mm-hmm.
but you got 1 mana for 2 life and a cantrip is not bad. I mean, in draft, you're probably trying to dig through your deck to get to that. Get those 2 cards that are actually good. So I can see it.
Yeah.
It would be like if there's like 4 cards left in the deck and nothing else is, earlier in the acronym than A or D, then I'll take it.
Yeah.
Did either of you see Approach of the Second Sun?
Oh, yes! I love that card.
I didn't mention any of this, so
It's if Approach of the Second Sun was cast from your hand and you cast another spell named Approach of the Second Sun this game, you win the game. Otherwise, put Approach of the Second Sun into its owner's library, 7th from the top, and you gain 7 life. And it's a 6 and a white sorcery.
I usually
So
don't
basically, you play the card, and if it's the first time you played the card that game, you put it 7 down and you gain 7 life. And then if you play it again, you win the game.
that's what that cantrip life is for.
I normally don't play control. I usually hate control, but that card makes me want to play control deck just so I can play Approach of the Second Sun.
Well, I'm trying to figure out it's a sorcery and it's a 7 cost. So, and it's not legendary, it's not anything like that. So you could have a 4 of in there and then just do a little mana ramp straight into it and pretty much win if you can get it out pretty quick. I mean, obviously playing the same one twice with 7 cards in the way is going to take a while unless you have some card draw. But
You need a lot of mana ramp and card draw.
But
the problem is to really control, you have to have a lot of mana open. So you're going to be like digging through. You need a bunch of instant speed card draw. So at the end of their turn, if they haven't made you tap for threats, then you can tap out for card draw. But,
so the deck that I see this in is a blue-white creatureless decks. It's got a bunch of counter spells, and it's got a card called Pull from Tomorrow, also an Amaket. 2 blue X, draw X cards, then discard a card.
Is it an instant or sorcery?
It is an instant.
Okay. Like I said,
Yeah. So
you need instant speed draw. You can't tap out on your turn because you're not playing control. You're playing please don't kill me while I win.
Yeah, so it's got a bunch of like counter spells. It has a ton of card draws. It has like 3 or 4 Approach the Second Suns. And I think it does have one creature, Torrential Gearhulk, which I forget how much it costs, but it has flash, comes into play, and you cast target instant or sorcery spell from your graveyard. And after you cast it, you exile it from the game. And so it's just, they cast...
Well, that card wouldn't be in your graveyard.
Well, you'd cast a counter spell.
Right, you cast counter spell.
Him to counter.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, and so it's just like...
Colossal Gearhulk to counter your spell.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's just creatureless or creature, that's the only creature. And I see a lot of people trying it. In this particular meta, it's not very good because this meta is really aggro based, or it's more mid-rangey, but everything that's mid-rangey is super fucking good.
A lot of tempo.
Yeah. Also,
strong tempo beats strong control.
Actually, I'll hold this back. I'll wait till you two go through your spiel, because Magic related, something really awkward happened this week, or last week in Magic that I want to touch on, but that'll take like forever.
So things we did this week.
Sure. I mean, that's
Yeah, I was gonna say what.
that's pretty much
Okay.
what
So
I've been doing.
outside of the Magic the Gathering event, I of course have still been playing Path of Exile because I'm still having fun with it. And I did find one thing that I thought was pretty funny / broken with it,
Yeah.
and that is casting while channeling. There's a support gem that you can get for if you have a channeling skill, you can get cast while channeling. And almost all the channeling skills have a mechanic where it starts out weak, and the longer you channel it, the more powerful it is. The only problem is most of them are pretty short range, so that means you have to get close to enemies and then start charging it, and then they're on top of you. So I was thinking, well, what if the spell you cast was a teleport skill or a movement skill? And so I could start channeling and then just teleport around. And it totally works. And so now I want to make a character that just walks around, because there's a channel skill where you like just build up an explosion, and when you release it, it does a massive amount of damage, and then just put a teleport on it, and then just teleport along until I get into a middle of enemies, and then just and then
Did it not work
teleport
with
away.
did it not work with whirling blades? Or not whirling blades. There's whirling blades and blade vortex, and I always mix all these up. The one that makes the shuriken tornado around you. I thought that was the one you were working with.
Oh, no. Blade Flurry was the channeling skill I was doing.
Yeah.
It's like where you like send out after images of you striking an enemy, and it charges up, and then whenever it reaches whatever charge level it's at, when you release it, it does that many attacks to the targets in the area, and it caps out at 6. At least that's what my skill has it as. So I would like charge it up and then get to 6 and then go into a bunch of enemies, and then it would strike 6 times, and then I would start building it back up. But the damage was kind of meh, and since I was already having to channel some other fire stuff, and a little gripe about this Path of Exile, you have this channeling ability, this keyword that you can have on a skill. Out of all the skills that have channeling, 1 is a physical one, Blade Flurry, 2 are chaos damage, and then there's like 6 fire damage ones. There's no cold channeling, there's no lightning channeling, and there's no poison channeling. It's silly. The only one that is somewhat there's like a lightning tendril one, but it doesn't actually have the channeling keyword. You could just sit there and hold it, so it works kind of like channeling, but since it doesn't have the keyword, it doesn't work with that support skill. So if I wanted to do this channeling build with anything, I'd pretty much been stuck with fire. So I went all fire spec, and now I've got like molten shells coming out while I'm charging up, and it looks pretty cool. Things catch on fire. Everyone has a great time. But at the end of this, I'm pretty sure I'm going to end up with a 6 slot that has like big ass explosion, and then teleport on channel, and then just put fucking fire damage and fire penetration on it, and then spend my whole day going boop, 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 boop. It'll be pretty nice.
Nice.
If it gets that broken, I'm sure there's lots of broken things that you could do because it's Path of Exile. But yeah, it was a little. I found the channeling skill pool to be a little bit lackluster, and especially since most of them are fire. You think they would have done like the traditional, like at least one of each thing, but they pretty much just said "fuck you" to lightning and cold.
Well, typically channeling is a negative aspect of a spell because you have to stand still while you use it, and standing still in Path of Exile is bad for you.
But I figured they would at least have had a cold one, just because they have like one aura for cold that is you get increased armor and reduced crits against you if you're standing still. So I figured they probably would have had one channeling cold skill, but nope. Oh well. But still, if I'm teleporting while channeling, I overcame that weakness, so it's fine. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
The only problem
I thought you would be, whenever you were.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, whenever you were messaging me about this, I thought you were talking about using Blade Flurry, but I forgot that that's not a channel. You just cast it repeatedly, really quickly. What it does is every time you cast it, it summons a blade that that orbits around you for a duration, and you cast it a whole bunch of times, and you have this like continuous tornado of blades around you. But I forgot it's just a bunch of individual casts. It's not a channel to get more of them.
Yeah, that's the
that
same
would have
thing
been
as the
great.
lightning tendrils.
Yeah,
The lightning tendrils, it looks like a channel because if you hold down the button, you just like constantly spam them out. But it's technically individual casts on there. So, whatever. It would be really nice if I could cast a channeling skill while channeling a skill and do double channeling, but that doesn't work either. So, that idea went out the window too. Yeah, there's some interesting things. There's lots of different ways you can break the game, so I'm sure the more I try to dig into it, the more I will break it.
Just interrupt really quick. The quality of the stream is kind of bad, and I was telling these two before we started. We recently did a lot of moving things around and stuff. Like my computer's upstairs. We moved the router somewhere and did some other things. So that we may have jacked something up, and that may be why the stream is a little bit lower quality. I apologize. Hopefully, I'll learn what's going on and get that fixed for next time. That's all.
Yeah. Cool.
All right.
As for
And
me,
yeah, go ahead.
You got more?
No, the only other thing I was gonna say is like there's going to be a tournament for Smash coming up on May the 25th or 27th. Sorry, 27th and 28th. There's going to be a big Melee tournament here in Mesa. It's gonna have a bunch of the pros from Cali coming out. So keep your eyes open for that. It's called Run Back. We'll see if we can put something in the load bar for it. So if you're local here in Arizona where I am, and you want to play Super Smash Brothers or any other fighting games that they're hosting there, look for a Run Back.
Is it going to be streamed on Twitch at all?
Yes. I don't know which person's going to be streaming it. They'll actually probably have multiple streams since they have multiple games there. So you'll just have to keep your eye open for that too.
Okay. Cool. What about you, Derek?
Big thing. Well, I've been working a new job since a week before last, which is good. This job doesn't suck. It's a lot of work, but I am for the first time ever getting paid to do something that I learned in college. It is not relevant to my degree, mind you, but it's things I learned as a side effect of getting my degree that is, as of yet, not making me any money.
So brewing meat.
No, I did not get taught any of that. That'd be great. That's retirement plans, though. Not really selling mead, just like be able to retire so I can just sit there and drink a lot of mead. No, I'm actually doing graphic design, digital art, digital layout.
Oh, that's cool.
Stuff. I'm the resident person who knows how to do computer art things in this little small town bumfucked slice of the Midwest. So I'm getting paid to do all of the things that fall vaguely near that bucket that this company needs. Actually, my boss runs 2 other companies as well, 2 other small businesses. So I'm just sort of the person who can do arty type things on computers for whatever they happen to need.
Nice.
MS Paint Wizard. A major website in MS.
A little more Adobe Suite. But yes. Brushing off the dust on a lot of that stuff from college, and it feels pretty good to be doing a real thing. Like, pretty much all the jobs I've had thus far have been prescribed tasks with a set method you're supposed to follow. There's basically, in so many words, you're basically told to do as little thinking as possible and follow the step-by-step procedure. And it's nice, but also challenging in a completely different way. I haven't ever really been challenged before. It was someone to just go, I need this, do it. I'll see you tomorrow.
Hmm.
I'm like, okay, I'll do that. And the other three things you told me about this morning. Cool. All right. But it's cool. It's fun, challenging. Liking that. On the geeky side of things, I am super stoked because we're starting a new 5th Ed game with our group, and I am so excited about my character.
Nice.
Love her so much.
We'll
Any
we'll
of you
hear
folks?
back in 2 weeks when you got another character in mind.
This one I'm sticking with. I was gonna say, like those who know me know that first I'm really into pen and paper role playing. I like a lot of different kinds of games, but pen and paper role playing is my top favorite. And 5th edition is the system I'm all about right now. I really like it. I had my doubts about it at first. I was worried that like, oh, they're kind of making it a bit too casual and low bar for entry. But there's a bunch of optional advanced rules like feats and flanking. So essentially, they just they didn't dumb the game down nearly as much as they simplified and condensed it a bit in mostly good ways, and then just took like a handful of rules and were like, these are optional. If you're a total noob, ignore them. Everyone else, yeah, they're still there. It's fine. But yeah, like 5th edition a lot. Glad to be playing some 5th Ed, but as these two obviously know, I make a lot of characters. It's something I like doing in my free time. I'll just pop open the book or a PDF and just look through stuff and be like, "Oh, that's a thing. Let's make that right now." While I watch some Star Trek in the background, and I will every week or so have a new character that I'm super excited about, probably never being able to play. But this character is the one I was the most excited about. She it wasn't just a cool kind of mechanical idea that I wrapped a character around. Like it was a cool idea that had a lot of fun flavor, that got a cool character identity attached to it with a personality that sort of just filled in. And one of those characters that sort of like became a person in your head, in my head, all by themselves, and suddenly there was like a novella of backstory. And but the shortest version I can do for you, so I don't babble, because I am prone for that, especially when it comes to talking about characters. Mechanically, and I clarify this as I often do, because I like to take mechanics and bits and piece them together, and then paint a new flavor over top that adheres it all into its own special thing. So mechanically, she's a wood elf, a Way of Shadows monk, and a Circle of the Land grasslands druid. Flavor-wise, though, she's more shadow-themed, kind of like mystical wuxia monk. I'm splashing in druid to allow her some spellcasting ability to get the mysticism in there, because when I play a monk in a fantasy setting, I don't just want like an awesome martial artist. Like I don't want to play Jackie Chan. Like that's cool.
Right.
It would be exactly what I'd play in certain settings. But this is D&D. Like when there's a wizard, casting fireballs, and you're fighting, dragons and shit. Being able to punch and kick people really good just sort of doesn't quite have the punch to it. So I like to get it more mystical. Also, like, I have a black belt in real life. This is my fantasy escapism. So, I mean, again, I'm looking for a little bit more than just punching and kicking good.
Yeah.
So, 5th edition monk, D&D monk in general, but 5th edition monk especially. First of all, they're way better than they used to be. It used to be a bit of a bag of mess in 3rd edition, but 5th edition monk is good. And they have some good kind of mystical stuff to them, but I wanted to splash in a bit more. So a bit of druid for primarily self-cast buffs, and I'm imposing restrictions on myself as to what kind of spells she can cast, how she can cast them, because the point is she's not a spellcaster. She's just like concentrating her chi,
Right.
and then can jump superhumanly high. She's not casting jump on herself, stuff like that. So, but it should be pretty fun. Way of Shadows monk, for any of those not familiar with the 5th edition way they do classes. They have the kind of the standard classes, and they're only adding like a couple of new classes. But most of the things they're doing to expand it is adding more class archetypes In the core book, most of them have at least 2 or 3 to choose from. And Way of Shadows Monk is like a stealthy. It's basically the old Shadow Dancer prestige class, but just as a monk. You can teleport between shadows. You can use your key to cast shadow magic. They're really stealthy and really mobile. And then throw in increased mobility and the ability to dash as a bonus action, and self-cast later on things like haste, and basically turns into like Ninja Flash,
like Titus from Final Fantasy X.
I suppose. Except no one likes Titus.
Well, yeah, but me and the Frimmer talked about this, how he got like haste and haste dogga and quick attack, and so when you start doing shit, you know how it has the list of actions that everyone has? Like the first 8 are him, and then it's a monster, and then the next 7 are him again.
Doesn't matter how much you suck if you suck 45 times before they act. But our whole party's pretty cool. We've got my girlfriend's playing a cleric of Ioun. Ioun is the goddess of knowledge and like figuring out lots of info. And she's basically a librarian cleric of the book god, which fits her very well. Should be pretty cool. Knowledge domain cleric is pretty cool. They get a buttload of skill-based stuff. We've got a blade lock. Friend of mine, she's playing a tiefling Pact of the Blade warlock, so like a frontline battle mage with lots of creepy layered on top. And we've got the rework of the Beastmaster Ranger, because quick little explanation, the Beastmaster archetype for Ranger in the player's handbook is total ass, and not just because it's like, oh, you do 10% less damage per turn on, not nearly as optimal as, no, it's not like it's shit in ways that matter. Like the whole point is to have a pet. Like you play a Beastmaster Ranger because you're like, I have a bear, yay.
Yeah, right.
And iconic like classic Ranger, you're like person, probably elf, frankly, with longbow, stands in back while bear or wolf gets up in the face of things and keeps them safe. Yeah. Problem is your animal companion's HP is equal to whatever their HP from the monster manual is, or 4 times your level, whichever is higher. So if you're a 10th level ranger, your grizzly bear has 40 HP, and you've probably got about 70. Like you don't want to let your animal companion get in front of you because you're afraid they'll die.
Right.
So you end up like hide behind me, grizzly bear. I will protect you with my bow. And beyond that, until you hit like 12th level, like 11th level, I think, you have to give up your attacks to let them attack, and you do more damage as well. So it's like, well, you can't tank. I have more HP than you. Well, I'm not going to let you attack instead of me. I do more damage than you.
Well, then what's the point of having a pet in the first place?
Basically, I gave up all the stuff I could have by being a Slayer Ranger, which are crazy good, and just fucking ejaculate damage across the fucking field. I gave up all of that. Now I'm just a really mediocre Ranger with a cute thing that I don't let do anything. So in Understar
what happens when the pet reaches 0 HP?
Same thing that happens to any other bear. They start dying.
Explode.
Hopefully someone heals them. That's what happened.
If your pet dies, then you're just SOL.
Well, if your pet actually dies, then you can perform the ritual that you did in order to get a pet in the first place, which is you spend another 8 hours out in the wild, kind of communing and calling in an animal to be your companion, and you spend the cost again. The standard way you get an animal companion at level 3, because you get this level 3. I never do it this way, because to me, Rangers, I think, are cool when they're not all spellcasty. There's different schools of thought for Ranger. Rangers cast spells in 5th edition. I like to flavor them as like just tactical things they do. rather than straight out spells. That's how I personally would do it. So for me, it's like, yeah, I found this bear cub years ago because we started above level 3, and I don't have to suddenly get a bear mid campaign, which is really awkward. But yeah, so you perform a ritual and get another one. So it sucked. Wizards of the Coast knew it sucked, and basically it was often ranked as close to the bottom on power and close to the bottom on satisfaction. So they're like, okay, that second one matters a lot and makes it being paired with the first one matter more. Because if a class is like, yeah, it's definitely the least powerful, but God, they're so much fun. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
Like you're not trying to like climb the leaderboards in your D&D game. Like you're just having fun fucking around with friends.
I'm
Like,
top ranked on the server.
Yeah.
yeah, the other 4 people in the room are like, "Shut up, Joe. No one cares." But that's the problem. They made you not want to do the whole reason you picked that class. So Unearthed Arcana, for those who don't know, is a thing that Wizards of the Coast does where they release test content. It's usually really, really well balanced, but they're often testing like, do you like this? Does this feel right? Mm-hmm. Is this good? Rather than is it mathematically balanced? Mathematical balance is pretty easy for them, especially in 5th edition. It's a very straightforward system. But they release this test content out to the community, and for a while every month they would have but this year every week, which is awesome. They would have here's a new thing, like a new archetype for these 3 classes, and a survey about what we released last time to let us know how we did. And then they'll take that info and regurgitate it. So they reworked Ranger, reworked the Slayer Ranger, Hunter. They changed the names. I think Slayer's the new name, but the good archetype, and they changed like 0.1% of it because it was fucking good. And they added in the Stalker Ranger, which is like a stealth-based scouting ranger, which is cool. And then they redid Beastmaster as Conclave of the Beast. But now your beast has its HP out of the monster manual, and it gains D8 hit dice every level as you level up. Okay. So in your 10th level, it's got 10 hit dice, and it gets its con modifier added every time. So your grizzly bear has more HP than it would have if you had picked like an eagle instead.
Yeah.
Which before they would all have the same HP, which is also weird. And your animal companion now gets its own turn, and it takes a full turn on its own. So you basically control 2 characters.
Okay, so it has like its own initiative and everything too.
Yeah, you roll initiative. It takes its own turn. It moves on its turn, takes action, bonus action if it has them. To make up for it, at 5th level, Conclave of the Beast doesn't get extra attack. Almost all the physical classes, like the other Ranger archetypes and Paladin and Fighter, at 5th level get extra attack. So you may take the attack action, you get to attack twice. Mm-hmm. They don't get that. Instead, they get a combined attack where you attack, and then your animal companion can use their reaction to also attack. So basically, per round, you get 1 attack, and your animal companion gets 2. So that's where your extra damage comes in.
Okay.
So your animal companion matters a lot. That's good. They also just like polished up some stuff from the baseline, kind of the core Ranger stuff, so it's more useful and less of a hassle. Which was cool because it's a lot of the cool Ranger stuff, like primeval awareness. You can basically just sit there and concentrate, and you can sense if there's any of your favorite enemies within 5 miles of you.
Within 5 miles?
Yeah, it used to be within 1 mile of you, or within 6 miles if you're in your favored terrain. They got rid of favored terrain and just gave you the bonuses you got from favored terrain all the time because you're a ranger and everything's your favorite terrain, basically.
That's reasonable.
And then they buffed up favorite enemy and made primeval awareness better. You used to have to spend a spell slot to activate it. Now it's just something you can do, but it takes time. So it's just good. They get more cool. They're easier to use, and your animal companion doesn't constantly die. Also, if your animal companion dies, you can basically resurrect them during a short rest as long as you have access to the body. Or, as I would flavor it, you get to them and help them so that they don't die. But It's really good. So yes, long spiel. My shadow monk, basically, book cleric, blade lock, and we have a Conclave of the Beast Ranger. She's got a cheetah companion, and she's a tabaxi, which is one of the newer player races they added in Velo's Guide to Monsters, which is a fucking phenomenal book. It is absolutely 10 out of 10. It's amazing. But tabaxi are basically cat people. They are super, super curious. They like finding new interesting things. They're really fast. She's basically like a cheetah person with a pet cheetah and a longbow. And
That's racist. How can a cheetah person have a pet cheetah? That seems fucked up.
would you have a pet monkey?
No, that's fucked up.
Oh, pet monkey. But yeah, our whole party seems pretty cool. Our GM Matt's got an awesome campaign idea that he pitched to us. So I am hyped as hell about that.
Nice.
It's getting close to my start date for my DMing, because we were going to wait until after Comic-Con to start our group since we're focusing on cosplaying. But I'm not even sure if we're going to do that because the half of our group got fucked up by housing, where they basically had to stop all of their plans for the past month and try to find a new place to live. They got kicked out of their house, so they moved into another person's place, and they've been having so many problems, so we're probably not going to cosplay. But we still plan on going to Phoenix Comic-Con.
Right.
Then after that, I'm going to start my own 5th edition game. I've already had like this really nice game planned out for a while now, but I haven't been able to use it because I spent like the first 2 months of me riding the bus to work just making the characters and writing the story, and I've got it all planned out, but I haven't been able to play it. So now I'm going to unpack all of that shit, go back over it, and be ready for it. So I'm sure we'll geek out about that over the next month or so whenever we're both going like, so in our game we did this, and oh, in my game my players did this, and aren't they stupid? Aren't we stupid? You're a bear, you're covered in spiders, what do you do?
Quote that from the last game I GM'd for Corey and my girlfriend. She was a bear covered in spiders.
Mm-hmm. At one point. Not like all the time.
You're not specking to being covered in spiders.
I'll take the spider veil skill. Just cover myself.
So going back to Wizards of the Coast and Magic for a bit.
Yes.
So they have not had a good week last week. So I mentioned the stupid 2-card infinite combo on turn 4 like multiple times. That shit is stupid, right? So another ban and release window came up last Monday, and so everyone expected that one of the 2 cards would be banned because it's an infinite combo they didn't catch, and it's been like suppressing the meta for months on end, right? So Monday rolls around, they're like, we're not going to ban this because we need more data, right? And everyone's like, the fuck, Wizards? How much more data do you need? It's a 2-deck meta. Like, no one else could, like, everyone, all the pros, everyone, they are super, super upset at the meta because of this stupid 2-card combo, right? So that came about, and the Pro Tour's coming up in like 2 weeks, I believe. And so all of a sudden, all the pros are like, I'm just not going to go. Like, why would I go? This combo is stupid. You can't do anything. Like, we're not going, right? And so everyone's up in arms, and people are starting to drop out, right? So Wednesday, Wizards does an emergency banning. The first one they've done in like 15 years, I want to say. The first emergency ban. And so they finally banned out one of the cards of this stupid 2-card combo, right? And the shitty thing is that that coming Friday or that coming weekend was a standard tournament, right? So from Monday, when they said no ban, a flood of people started to buy up the cards for this combo because it's fucking broken, and if you're not going to ban it, we're just going to play it. Wednesday rolls around, they're like, oh yeah, by the way, ban hammer. And so now everyone's like, on one hand, it's about time. And in that same hand, why didn't you just ban it on Monday? Like, what the fuck is your
Yeah.
problem, right? And on the other hand, people are like, motherfucker, I just spent $300 putting this deck together, and now you want to go ahead and ban it. Like, what the fuck, Wizards?
Yeah, because now
I have
instantly those cards cost nothing.
Exactly.
Because they're banned.
Yeah. I have less sympathy for the people who ran out and bought the stupid cheese-tastic crap no one has fun because this deck exists deck.
Well, I mean,
Just because, like, I mean, I get, yeah, you spent money on it, but you spend money to be an asshole, and someone's like, you can't be an asshole. I'm like, well, shit, I spent money on being an asshole.
well, I mean, to be honest, like, everyone knows this is like a tier 0 by this point. And Amonkhet, well, actually, it was tier 1. Amonkhet came out. Wizards originally was like, we're gonna wait for Amonkhet to come and all the cards be released. So they did. It was really weird. So Amonkhet online you could play, but the pre-release for the physical cards was like the next week, right? So so they said we're not going to ban it. So the Amonkhet cards were available online, and they realized the cards they introduced to try to counter said combo went into the combo, and they were saying in competitive leagues over Monday and Tuesday, the amount of decks that went 5-0 or 5-1 of that particular deck were 50% of the meta that went 5-0 or 4-1. So they just introduced cards to make that deck even stronger, and they were like, well, fuck.
Well, yeah, if you put in cards that stop the combo and that deck is one of 2 decks that are in the meta, then putting those cards in there is a good counter to the mirror match.
Right.
So,
And the cards introduced actually suppressed the other deck that was good against it. So now it became like the only deck available. I'm telling you, Wizards had like the worst week last week. It was super bad.
well, are the pros going to the Pro Tour now? Or
well, yeah.
are they just pretty much like, well, what the fuck do you want from us?
Well, they are that. They're like, Wizards, the fuck. Okay, now I guess we're gonna go to this tournament then.
See, on the one hand, like, whenever Wizards is like, no, we're not going to ban these cards, I really wish the community as a whole would have just gone, all right, we're just going to, like, self-ban them. We're going to not play this deck. But then, of course, there'd be assholes who'd play the deck.
Who would play the deck
Yeah.
anyway, yeah. I mean, why, honestly, why wouldn't you? Yeah, it's an asshole thing to do, but you're there to win, so I don't blame them for doing that.
I know.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know. I just wish the community like would just like, this is where a witch hunt is good. It's like we're all going to form solidarity, and we're not gonna do this shitty thing because it's ruining a game we care about.
Yeah.
And people playing this deck makes it worse. If you play it, you're choosing to make the game less fun and make the game we all love suck. So everyone in the community is gonna hate you actively and shun you. Like, that's a good thing. So you're actually being an asshole.
Yeah. Well, the problem was, so Wizards quoted, they were like, yeah, this deck has become like 50% of the meta online within 2 days, and it's going undefeated. Like, this is bad. But I think the backlash from all the pros being like, fuck it, we're just not going to show up then. I think that was more of a problem than anything else. And because of this combo, there's numbers showing that attendance at Friday Night Magics has gone down considerably because now people are playing this combo and just trouncing everybody.
Yep.
And you go in with your homebrew deck and you lose on turn 4 by 1,000,000 cats. You're just like, well, okay, like I'm done with this game at this point. Then,
Yeah. It's not fun to play or play against. It shouldn't exist.
yeah, exactly.
Like, powerful and boring is always the worst possible combination to design into a game. Like, powerful and interesting, or shit and interesting.
Yeah, like
is
I was
terrible, but powerful and boring is just
Yeah.
bad.
We were just having a conversation last night about fun decks that we would have to build, which was part of the reason why I brought up the 5-color cartouche. But I mentioned how no one runs land destruction, and it's simply just like an unspoken agreement that I'm not going to pop your lands, you don't pop my lands, and we'll just enjoy playing the game and not basically just ruin each other's lives. Because anytime we start looking into things like removing lands or like skipping someone's turn. Once you start bringing those actions into the game, it's just not fun anymore because it's like, did you get your combo? Yeah? All right, I might as well scoop. Otherwise, we're going to play 20 turns of me doing nothing and you
Right.
maybe winning
Yeah.
quickly.
In a multiplayer game, nothing will get everyone else at the table to kill you faster than destroying a land or two.
Yeah.
Like in competitive, it goes because they're totally legit strategies there. And mind you, even in competitive play, they are typically some of the most hated decks, like Death and Taxes, and Death and Taxes, and what else? What was the other one? The old one. It wasn't land destruction; it just made it so that you can't play spells, and then its whole deck would be based around getting around that issue.
Oh, that sounds annoying.
I forget what it's called. Quash. That was it. It was a quash land. That one, ironically, you played animate land creatures.
Okay.
Lands where you can pay mana and turn them into creatures because you're not playing a spell when you put a land down. So yeah, like Quash was one where you play this card that says players cannot play spells, and then you just put down land dudes and then activate them and turn them sideways. Mishra's Factory. I'll tap this land, turn it into a 2/2 dude, and turn it, and you take 2 damage and continue. Like that was a bullshit deck, but it was an artistically created, sculpture of bullshit.
Right. Like Corey mentioned, Approach the Second Sons. Like I love that concept. Like, yeah, you win the game, but it's something you have to work for. I mean, some friends were talking about this earlier. I don't mind an infinite combo if you have to work for it. Like, if you work for it and you get it, congrats. Like, you have earned the right to hit me upside the head with a million cats. Okay, whatever. But when it's 2 cards on turn 4, you didn't earn that.
Yeah. Also, like, kind of a side point that isn't really relevant, but my point is sort of how it's not relevant. Like, infinite combo sort of in a disproportionate bad rap. Like, back in the last meta I played in, the big combo deck was Dragonstorm, and its combo dealt 20 damage. Like, you could counter it by gaining 1 life, because it dealt 20 damage. You pull out 4 Ship and Hellkites, and they each deal 5 damage to target player when they come into play. That's it. Like, yeah, if you have 21 life, it doesn't kill you. Mind you, they have 4 dragons.
Now they have 4 dragons.
I was just about to say, like,
they have pretty good
the
board.
next turn's a sealed deal.
Your Wrath of God, and then turn sideways. They're like, well, there's all 4 creatures in my deck gone. So,
well, what turn do you normally storm on?
Dragonstorm would go off for 4th or 5th turn. It was such a good meta back then because Wrath of God was in the meta, was in that block.
Yeah, and Wrath of God is 2 white, 2 colors. Wrath of God is 4 mana.
Yeah, Wrath of God is 4. They had that Wrath of God and actual control, not tempo control, which is what everything turned into starting in Lorwyn. But like blue or blue-white control, where it's like, yeah, I've got 2 copies of 1 creature, and that's my kill con. And Dragonstorm, which is a turn 4 or 5 combo, and aggro that could get come sprinting out of the gates, like rapid fire uppercutting you in the nuts to kill them, possibly by turn 4, just by turning dude sideways, and it was great. It's a fucking fantastic meta.
Because that was the same time where Green got the reprint of the Elemental that was like a 6/1 sacrifice it into turn.
Yeah, it was the green ball lightning. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was Time Spiral. Time Spiral had the color shifts. Is what I called them. But yeah, it was Ravnica Time Spiral. Ravnica Time Spiral 10th edition, I believe.
Yeah, because I started at Future Sight. That's the first time I played Magic, and there were a lot of really cool cards, and that was about where the meta was. We were just getting out of all the snow stuff from like Ravnica. Cold Snap.
There we go.
Cold Snap was also in there though. It was Ravnica Spiral Cold Snap, because Cold Snap was it was a single set that came in by itself. So it was actually Ravnica Spiral Cold Snap and 10th edition. Because at Worlds, first place was Dragonstorm, second place was Gruul Red Green Aggro, and third place was Mono Blue Snow Control.
Yeah, because that's what Tim ran. Yeah.
And it's piloted Rhymefeather, and he did well with it. I played Boros Beats, which was 4th place, I think. And the red-white aggro, which I liked a lot. Burn life gain and some flyers to turn sideways.
So Boros also has a lot of double strike and first strike, which
Yeah.
helps out a lot.
Yeah, I mean that one is a lot of haste and a lot of little dudes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's a good time.
So the tournament so Wednesday was the banning, and then Friday came around, right? Um, uh, if you guys go to twitch.tv, look up Star City Games, because there are two commentators. One is Cedric Phillips, and the other guy, I can't remember what his name is. They are the best commentators I've heard in a very, very, very long time. They're fucking awesome. So Saturday, Sunday, I spent watching the tournament just to see how the meta kind of shifted. And of course, everyone brought Mardu vehicles because that was the deck that could beat the copycat. And so people are like, well, you gave us 2 days to prepare, so I guess I'll take the deck that everyone knows will, if that is good, right? But there were a bunch of different decks. There was like black white zombies that was really cool. There was you mentioned red white. There's red white humans that got fourth place, I think. There's a bunch of control. There's like green black delirium. There was a really cool freaking red black or red blue emerge deck where in the previous set you have a creature has emerge, like if you hard cast it, it costs like 8 or 9 mana or something stupid. But its emerge cost is you sacrifice a creature, and that creature's converted mana cost is subtracted from the emerging creature.
Okay.
Yeah, and so there's a really cool deck where you cast a creature, it goes to the graveyard, and you pay like 3 or 4 to bring it back into the great or into the battlefield from the graveyard. And so what he'll do is he'll cast it, he'll emerge a creature, send it to the graveyard, and then bring it back, that creature he emerged from, back onto the battlefield. So it was pretty interesting. And at first the commentators were like, "What the fuck is this deck supposed to do?" Like, because he wasn't doing anything for like 5 turns. They were like, "You're you're doing a lot of energy and a lot of work to summon a fucking 2/3 flyer. Like, what are you doing right now?" And then it got to the top 16, and then it started like going off, and they were like, "Oh, I get it. Okay, maybe it's not so trash." There was a mono black deck. There's a mono black deck that they call like the 10-cent deck because it had some really trashy cards in it, like some really like weird commons and uncommons, but the rares were pretty good. And they were like, "What are you doing right now? Like, why are you in eighth? What is going on?" And like, there was at one point, like he was against a control deck, and they cycled like Oblivion Ring or the cycled version of Oblivion Ring, and they made a joke like, "Yeah, your cards are too shitty. Like, we're not gonna O-ring that. We're just a cycle instead."
It sounded like O-ring.
I don't
Nothing
want my
worth
O-ring to
O-ringing.
touch your card.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Hey,
I
you
was-
know how much I paid for this? Silly bit.
But seriously, like Star City Games, I if you look up their Twitch, you should be able to find it. Cedric Phillips and other guy, I can't remember, but they are hilarious. They are very, very funny. And plus, you got to see a bunch of different decks kind of emerge since the copycat combo got banhammered. And so I watched it. I got a couple of deck ideas that I want to try out. And of course, after that happened, all the prices for the decks that were in there kind of skyrocketed. So it's like, well, that's the price to playing Magic, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
Trading
Yeah.
cards. Yay.
Yay.
Yeah, I was gonna say like all the talk about Magic's kind of making me miss it, but I keep reminding myself why I definitely don't want to play Magic. But the one thing I do definitively miss and have always missed since I stopped playing is cube drafting, because I love drafting and
Drafting with the best cards in the game isn't a bad idea.
Yes. And because half of them cost like $80 a piece, you don't feel bad about proxying the whole goddamn thing.
Yeah.
Just good times.
Yeah.
Come on, camera, get to work.
Is there like
Yes.
a good printout for a recent cube or something like that? Does someone like maintain
you can
it?
look up. Yeah, well, you can look up cubes. Generally, you curate your own. We had we had a proxy cube back in the UAT days, but we were slowly filling it in with real cards, minus the like $900 ones from first edition. Because obviously there's a Black Lotus in there, and there's like I don't know what else. I forget all the names of things, but some hardcore broken shit from back in the day.
Yeah.
But all the stuff we could get in there, we were trying to fill with real cards. But typically, you curate your own, and the idea is to keep it at a set number, like a set like 850 cards or something, whatever you go with. Ours bloated, obviously, because we're bad at making decisions. But typically, you're like, okay, this new card came out. We want it in the cube. What comes out to replace it, or for it to replace, like that kind of thing. But inevitably, we just it went from 800 and some to 1,000, just because we were like, oh, whatever.
Cool.
But yeah, and it was still fun.
I guess a quick definition of a cube for those who don't know. So when you draft, you get 3 packs of cards, 3 booster packs. Everyone opens the booster pack, picks one of the 15 cards in there. A rare, 3 uncommons and the rest commons. Rare, 3 uncommons and 11 commons.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Or 10 commons and a land now, whatever.
Or token card or something like that.
Yeah. And then you pick one of those, rare 3 uncommons and the rest commons, and then pass it on and continue. That's how you draft. A cube is single copies, no more than one of any particular card. And it's a whole bunch of cards. Like I said, you pick a number, you're gonna have it at like 850. It's evenly distributed for the colors, and then maybe 80 cards for each color, and then 60 artifacts and 60 multicolor cards and 30 lands. And then whenever you go to cube draft, you grab basically say you've got 6 people, you get 40, enough to get whatever the number is, 45 cards per person. So math, 270, I think. No, whatever that is. Yeah, I think it's
what
270.
were the numbers?
6 people and 45 cards each. I think that's 270.
Yeah,
270. So you get 270 cards, and you divide 270 evenly between the 5 colors, artifacts, multicolors, and lands, and then you put that all together and you shuffle those 275 cards, and then you hand out 45 cards to each person. And you put them in 15 cards stacks. And so instead of opening up a booster pack with a rare, 3 uncommons, and 11 commons in it, and picking one, you pick up 15 of the best draft cards ever printed, and you pick one. And then you hand it to the left, and someone hands you the 14 second place best cards ever, and you pick one of those, and you draft that, and it's amazing. And you have a reasonably sized cube, so you shuffle it all, and which 270 out of the 860 you have get picked each time, it changes. So plus you can also easily scale it for we only have 5 people to draft. Oh no, you just deal it out. So you have to worry about getting weird numbers of packs. But it's just a ton of fun, and you don't have to pay, the price of 3 packs of cards plus however much markup in order to be able to draft. You can just, it's Friday. You guys want a cube draft? Yeah. Okay. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. We should probably go ahead and head out. Yeah, I do want to remind you guys about Extra Life. We are doing it again this year. I believe it's going to be in October. We don't have a date finalized just yet. As we get on going, we've got donations incentives, some ideas we want to do. Nothing is set in stone just yet, but keep your October open, because that's when we do plan on doing it. That is it. Do you guys have anything else?
Nope, just free plug Run Back for Melee, Mesa. Gonna be at the end of the month. Keep your eye on that. Outside of that, Oh, started watching this anime called Saga of Tanya the Evil. I would suggest either of you check that out. It is a little bit silly. Just to frame the theme for you, mages in World War II and a tiny little 12-year-old girl that is basically pure evil and kills people.
God, you're right.
Yeah, I'd say check it out. Just watch the first 2 episodes. The first episode is pretty solid. The second episode, if you don't want to watch it after watching that, then you're probably not going to watch the rest of it. But it's pretty good. So I'd say check that out.
Okay.
But that's it. I can't think of anything else.
Anything else, Derek?
Go play some D&D. Everyone. Everywhere. Go play some D&D. Do yourself a favor.
Yes, sir.
It's good for you.
Cool. Well, thank you for listening and watching episode 41 of the Secret Calendar podcast. You guys have a nice day.
Bye,
Later.
folks.